A comic book. Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully it I rebooted my computer. Hopefully that gets it consistent. Hopefully that gets it working for the next hour and a half. By the by, have you been enjoying my Final Fantasy Let's Play? I know you were looking forward to it. Hey, Vanna. I'd have to figure, like, I'd have to move it over here. Like, what it comes down to is that I have to, like, because right now it's behind there, so I'd have to move it over here. And I've only got so much space on my desk, so I'd have to figure out, like, how to set it up. And I'm lazy. Or, like, to use it as, like, my new permanent computer, I'd have to set everything up on it, and I'm lazy. Scottish Dwarf accent was excellent. Thank you, Comic Brook. I believe the episode going up tomorrow, I believe, is, the Fire Crystal. Hey, Scriptgoat. I think I'm 3 behind, so I need to catch up. Yeah, and I honestly need to start building up more of a buffer. You're behind on Emily is away. Yeah, same thing. I need to record another episode of that tonight, and then try to get more. Right now I only have 1 episode buffer of like I've got the Final Fantasy episode going up tomorrow, and then I've got the next one, and then I've got one for Tuesday, and then that's the end of my buffer. I really need to start building, recording more episodes. Try to get at least a couple weeks ahead. Anyway, waiting to see if everyone's back yet. Is everyone back? Hey, Jerry. Graveyard Keeper? Eh. Hey, Pika. Yeah, working for now. Rebooted my entire computer, so we'll see if it lasts. If F7 rebirth. Eventually? Dave the Diver. Hey, it's Griffin. I mean, I'll play FF7 Rebirth eventually? Probably. But I've got 10, 11, 12, 13... I've got like basically like 15 other games to get through first. Because 1 through 10, 12, 13, 15, 16, and Remake. Need a gaming computer. I mean, this is a shitty little I do have a gaming laptop. But this is a shitty little visual novel. This is not anything that requires high-end equipment. Pre-ordered a physical copy. I have a bad feeling it's going to arrive late. I imagine I will watch the Welland's Let's Play of Rebirth. I watched her Let's Play of Remake. So I imagine it's her Let's Play of Rebirth that I will watch as well. Don't talk about Docky like that. One minor thing that's kind of neat with Welland's, because she actually knows Japanese, she was able to, like, there's occasional bits of just, like, background writing that are in Japanese, so she was actually able to translate those, which is just interesting that she was able to. I think it's just, like, Shinra. It didn't actually say anything interesting. Like, none of it actually said anything important. It's just like Shinra logo brand. But hey, Jordan. The fact that it's on 2 discs made me lose it. Jeez, 2 discs. There's memories, huh? Moment. A boy said that to me once. You be donkey, I'll be dragon. Dragging D's nuts all over your face. What are we talking about? It is cream soda, PK. Thank you for noticing. Alright, looks like everyone's back, so let's get back to it. When Kiana finally caught a glimpse of civilization, it took her breath away. The prince's sumptuous castle was perched at the top of a hill. However, the city had clearly expanded over time, and a dense strip of habitations, the outskirts, extended the lord's domain to a second ring of fortifications. A boot. Having lived in her family's remote palace her entire life, moreover at a period of deterioration where her people would rather migrate, the princess had never set foot in a city as populated as this one. Where's Scapegoat? She's here. She said she was here listening. Thus she naturally felt a mix of anxiety and excitement. anxiety. She whispered while crossing the portcullis. Prince Grisel's domain is so big. I'll bet it is. Superba Genova is the name of this track. The prince has a big domain. I should probably never do that again with my eyebrows. That thing I was just doing with my eyebrows, I will try to never do that again. I apologize, and I won't do that again. No sooner had she set foot in the city than all of her senses were thrown into turmoil. The narrow and disordered streets that were running through the city seemed trapped in a permanent state of chiaroscuro. One part was shrouded in darkness, the other part was bathed in light. Chiaroscuro? At the bottom of the timbered houses, there were shops directly open onto the cobbled pathway, and artisans of all sorts were working in plain view. Under the windows, one could admire stalls on which they displayed their goods. The streets were bustling with passers-by, and all these people were hurrying along in a constant cacophony, amplified by the exclamations of peddlers and hawkers, who were shouting, each one more so than the other. I didn't see it do it again. Hand inching towards your groin to exploit your vulnerability. What? Anyway, Vanna, what I did was... What happened is, Kiana mentioned how big Prince Griselda's domain was. So I said, yeah, he's got a big domain. And then I just went like this a lot. Just raising and lowering my eyebrows a whole bunch. Jordan, should I just leave you and Scapegoat alone? You? Exactly, Vanna. That's why I wanted to apologize and promise not to do that again. Lost in that mess, Kiana attempted to make her way through, aimlessly. She soon found out that the pathways were crossed by canals, authentic open sewers, which emitted a stench that was hardly bearable. As she wandered, she also observed that the city's largest area was most likely the church square, and that the tinkling of the bells, although contributing to the general chaos, was quite convenient to keep an eye on the passing of time. The princess would have gladly imitated a group of young people by enjoying a waffle, but she had no money on her. The conclusion was unambiguous. I absolutely need to find a way to make a living until I am able to meet the prince. Someone might accept to employ me somewhere. I have no choice but to try my luck. Killer trait, I'm almost 90% sure of it. Full control manipulation of the breath. I mean, I don't think I have full control of it. How do you wiggle your eyebrows so fast? I don't know, I don't think it's that fast. Do that for your date when you get one? I don't think it was that fast. Or it's a sign of having a big domain, yeah. trying to wiggle my eyebrows in tune with the song just now. Notice I've gained more control of my brows. Does that indicate anything? I just did it to myself and I'm 25% as fast, which means I'm 75% slower when trying. Tired and hungry, Kiana started looking for a home without delay. As there were plenty of artisans, and easily accessible ones at that, she inquired from various shops if they were looking for an apprentice. Baker, tailor, barber, cooper, furrier, weaver, potter, carpenter, blacksmith, every one of them looked at her with disdain. The princess eventually realized that she might be too old for a master to deign to bequeath his craft to her. Even though the future was looking bleak, an opportunity finally appeared, just as she was denied a place by the butcher. Are you looking for a job? Here we go. Are you looking for a job? The question came out of the mouth of a customer who had witnessed the scene. A woman, slightly older than her, a little on the plump side. Even though the woman's voice was soft, Kiana did not quite know what to say, and simply nodded fearfully. Come on, don't be shy. Tell me, where are you from? The princess was caught off guard. Experience had taught her that it was better to keep a low profile and conceal her aristocratic status, so she could not reveal the truth to the stranger. Yet, it was also dangerous for her to invent a new identity, because she did not know the details of the masses' living conditions, and one could easily see through her ruse. It was necessary to rely on something plausible, without exaggerating too much. Kiana thus opted for a half-truth. I used to live in a farm in the countryside. Oh, a farmer! And what are you doing here if it's not too indiscreet? It's rather uncommon to see plowmen. They usually stay on their land. How do I keep giving these people southern accents? Afraid of those people that can wiggle their ears? Yeah, that's weird. Bring the word plump back into circulation? Indeed. Perfectly good word. Following her reasoning to the extreme, the young woman resolved to make Fleur's story her own, because it was the one she knew best. My family fell victim to poor harvests, and famine took them all. So I came in town to seek a better fortune. This trick seemed sufficiently convincing, seeing as her interlocutor's face immediately darkened. I see. Has it been a long time since your arrival? No, I have been here for only a few hours. I walked without interruption since yesterday night to reach the city, and I have not yet had a chance to eat or find a place to sleep. I do not know what to do now. The customer let out a pitying sigh. Poor child. Kiana did not know how to interpret this display of compassion and looked down. This apparent humility finished convincing the good woman, who was already moved by her predicament and her simultaneously curious and pitiful garb. Come to think of it, Prince Griselda is about to organize a great tournament, and we need additional workforce at the castle. Would you like to work as a retainer? The princess did not believe her ears. She was offered no more and no less than a position in her beloved's palace. What a godsend! In the grip of emotion, she threw herself into the arms of her benefactress. Oh, that would be a great honor! The good woman did not expect such a display of tenderness, and could not help laughing. Easy, easy! You wouldn't want to break my back, would you? Kiana instantaneously ceased her embrace and stepped back with an embarrassed look. Hi, I'm Bertha, a cook in Prince Griselda's service. And you, what's your name? This time, the princess understood that it was not wise on her part to give her a real name, and preferred to use the nickname Fleur had given her. People call me Donkey Skin. Nice to meet you, Donkey Skin. Meet Bertha, the cook achievement. I just got an achievement. The cook. Got an achievement called The Cook. You're quite lucky that one of the servants has been ill today. I'm replacing them because this is an emergency, but I'm usually not the one in charge of doing errands. Bertha gave a vigorous and happy slap on the back of the poor girl, who did not expect such force. Well, anyway, I don't want to appear rude, but I still have a lot on my plate. Come, follow me. The cook thanked the butcher for his work, and, while filling her baskets with meat, she beckoned Kiana to help her. She did not need to be asked twice. As the two women were laboriously going up the cobbled streets, their arms full with victuals, Bertha explained to her recruit what her new life would be like. It's quite simple. The castle is restless because of the tournament's preparations, and an extra pair of hands will be more than welcome. Hey, new file. You'll be a goose herder. Every morning you'll lead the geese outside the city so that they can graze in the fields and fatten. Do you know what to do? La gardeuse de dindons. What's a victual? Food, I think, basically. The Turkey Keeper is a variation told by folklorist Jean-François Bladet in Contes Populaires de la Gascogne, which is both similar to Cinderella and Donkey Skin. An old king desires to test his 3 daughters in order to ascertain which one he should bequeath his lands and properties to. The 2 eldest assure him of their love, but the youngest only says that she loves him as much as salt. Upset, the old king asks his valet to put her to death as a punishment for her insult. Fortunately, he prefers to save her and discreetly helps her to escape instead. On his recommendations, the princess settles in a neighboring castle to work as a turkey keeper. The prince of this kingdom is quite handsome, and she falls in love with him. When carnival time arrives, she pretends to be sick and goes to the ball every night dressed in her finest dresses, identical to Donkey Skin's, so that he would notice her. Only during the last night does she lose her red slipper, which spurs the prince to try it on all the maids of the country to find her, just like in Cinderella. You can guess what happens next. La gardeuse de dindons. Dindons! Yes, madam. Perfect. Do be careful not to lose a single one of them. The king cares a lot about his animals. Maybe she really loves salt. I mean, salt's great. All misunderstanding? Probably. Because salt is great. Salt is like such a useful condiment, especially like back in those times. There were times where salt was really valuable. And you know, like, it's one of those things where, you know, most food is improved, like a lot of food is improved by salt. It improves a lot of things. And, you know, you're cooking a big pot of something, you sprinkle some salt in just to bring out the flavor. Salt! Exactly, Jordan. I will be vigilant. Very good. You'll be assigned as a multi-purpose servant in the afternoon. There's always a task waiting to be done here, so you'll have plenty of work. Nevertheless, it's possible to choose yours by negotiating with the other retainers. We have a meeting every night before curfew to confirm that everything has been done, and assign roles. Volunteer and we should be able to come to an agreement everyone is satisfied with. Very well, madam. Once your afternoon work is done, you'll have 1 or 2 hours of free time until dinner. Use it as you see fit, but know that giving a hand to other people will always be appreciated. Doesn't mean you have to overwork yourself. I will keep that in mind. As they had passed the city and were now entering the castle's inner walls, Bertha stopped dead in her tracks. Tell me, have you ever served a chatelaine before? Never, madam, but I will do the best I can. Just make her work as a mule? How is everyone so accepting of her? I don't doubt it. It's just that you're speaking awfully well for a country girl. Kiana shuddered. The cook had immediately noticed her manners. Despite her best efforts to use less formal turns of phrases and vocabulary, as she had done with Fleur, the exercise was not fully spontaneous to her, and it showed. I am merely trying to be polite. Bertha shrugged and continued on her way. Well, whatever. It can always come in handy if you ever make contact with the king. They see her wearing a rotting carcass. You're hired. It's called fashion. Look it up, people. The distant chime of the bell suddenly made Bertha jump. My goodness, already? I don't have much time before tonight's service. Listen, I'd love to take care of you, but I'm going to be very busy for the next couple of hours. I'm going to ask you to sit down in a discreet corner of the kitchens and not move from there until I've called you. Understood. I will make myself inconspicuous. When she reached the kitchens to drop the meat, the princess immediately understood that her benefactress had an important role in the preparation of the Lord's meal. Clearly willing to do anything. Yep. Kumi's chefs were running in every direction while asking her for instructions, and she seemed to manage her troops with an iron fist. Observing this peculiar movement was not unpleasant. In the end, she lost track of time, so much so that she blinked in surprise when Bertha invited her to go eat something after finally completing her work. It was a welcome offer after such a long day, but the cook had still things to show her. It did not take her long before once again dragging along her new recruit through the corridors. Come, I'll show you your housing. All the retainers are housed in a specific building. The rooms are then allocated depending on each person's position. I'm not going to lie, you'll have one of the last ones. I am sure that I am going to feel at home nonetheless. Good! I'm going to introduce you to all the servants and show you your bedding. We meet in the common room when a task has been finished, or to deliberate over something, so there's usually a lot of people at this hour. Better rename the catwalk. Translating words into actions, Bertha led the princess through another long corridor, then stormed into a room. Moments after, she felt several inquiring pairs of eyes glued to her. The room, of modest proportions, was barely furnished. There were some tables, some chairs, and a small fireplace to keep warm. Men and women of varying ages were sitting there, and every single one of them went quiet at the exact moment the cook opened her mouth to call for silence. Your attention, please! I'd like to introduce Donkeyskin, who's right here. From this day forward, she's the one who's going to replace Beranger as a goose herder. She will also serve as a multi-purpose retainer. Therefore, I'm counting on you to welcome her as it ought to be, and make sure that she fits in as well as possible. Yee! Applause. A unanimous ovation followed this declaration. Kiana could not help but feel confused, for she was not used to being applauded. Fortunately, Bertha seized her hand and led her to stairs located in a corner of the room. They climbed a long time, before reaching the housing that was reserved for her. It was a tiny attic bedroom that was sparsely furnished. It's not the internet, Jordan. It's nothing to do with the internet connection. It is my laptop. Because what I end up needing to do anytime the connection fucks up, what I end up needing to do is reset my computer. For some reason, my laptop just does not have a good relationship with YouTube. So their porn streaming is not the issue. One of my earliest ancestors I've been able to trace was a salt kingpin. Neat. That's very cool, Scapegoat. It was a tiny attic bedroom that was sparsely furnished. There was only a straw mattress and a small bedside table with an old rag, a little candle, and the shard of a broken mirror resting on it. The attic was covered with spider webs, and the entire room was collecting dust. British salt overlords. I'm sorry, but that's the best I can give you. You'll have to do some cleaning to make this small bedroom slightly more presentable. But that's still better than living on the streets, right? Barely. Absolutely. Thank you for providing me a roof. You're going to spend tomorrow with me. I'll explain everything you need to know about the daily functioning of the castle, and you'll be on the dinner shift after that. Yes, madam. You must be exhausted. You'd better rest now. I certainly will. Good night to you. After a bit of cleaning, the worn-out girl lay in her makeshift bed. This is not quite the same as farm life, but it seems awfully similar, she whispered while closing her eyes. Thus she spent her first night in Prince Griseld's castle. And hey, it's the domestic life thing again. Who gifted? It was Killface, Jordan. Killface gifted 5 gift subs. 5 of them. So, Comic Brook, Vanna, Jenna, cleaning but didn't get one, Cobweb. Who are the ones? Joanna got one. And I'm blanking on who got the 5th one. Who got the last one. Because, yeah, no, Comic Brook, Jenna, Vanna, and Joanna all got gift memberships. I don't remember who the 5th one went to. But yes, Killface is a sweetheart. As promised, Bertha came pounding on her door early in the morning to wake her up. Get up, Donkey Skin! You have much to do today! Faced with a lack of response, the cook took the liberty of entering the attic room. Donkey Skin, can you hear me? I can't believe it! She's still sleeping! Kiana half opened her eyes, still drowsy. What is going on? A fire? Fortunately, no. Well, you're quite the heavy sleeper. Come on, girl, get up! Through shaking her, Bertha finally managed to make the princess surface, and the latter sluggishly rubbed her eyes. The night ended so fast. She is a loyal one. The day will end just as fast, I can guarantee you that. Come on, you're the last one. Kiana started to panic. The last one? Everybody has already left? Not yet, but it'll be the case if you dawdle too much. I'm the one in charge of waking the servants up, and I naturally begin by the bedrooms downstairs. Since you're in the attic, my course ends with you. I already knocked on the other doors. VIP? Oh, I see. That is very nice of you, Bertha. Don't thank me and come to the common room instead. Don't forget you're supposed to be my assistant for the day. I'm counting on you. Kiana jumped out of bed and followed on the cook's heels after a quick wash-up. By following her to her workplace, the young woman confirmed her prediction from the night before. All valets and servants she had met coming the other way did not miss a chance to greet Bertha. She must really be holding an important position in the castle. How lucky of her to have run into the cook in town. Well, here we are in the kitchens, you furry little animal. This is my kingdom. But to prepare the meals Lord Griseld will eat, I cannot work alone. I need multiple talents. Today you will be one of these talents. Really? Of course. For your first day, I'm going to entrust you with a task that's too important. Or for the first day, I'm not going to entrust you with a task that's too important. I need to see you in action first to evaluate what you're capable of. For now, you're going to peel vegetables. Oh. Kiana lowered her eyes with a disappointed pout, which did not elude the good woman. There's no such thing as a menial job, Donkey Skin. And if you chop vegetables into regular shapes, you will make the work of the vegetable cook easier. What is a vegetable cook? They cook vegetables. The fuck are you talking? They cook the vegetables. What the fuck do you think a vegetable cook is? Well, insofar as the prince's feasts require an enormous amount of food, the staff working in the kitchen is composed of several specialists. There's a sommelier who's in charge of the wine, a sauce cook for the sauces, a vegetable cook for vegetables, a soup cook for soups, and a roasting cook who exclusively takes care of roasted meals. Rich people think veggies come cooked. Well, maybe, but I mean, it's still one of those things where it's like, just common sense, you know? Like, I can understand being I can understand being surprised at wait, there's a cook just for vegetables? Yeah, that does sound weird. Somebody who just cooks vegetables? That's weird. Can I cook vegetables? I haven't cooked many vegetables. I don't have a lot of experience cooking vegetables. We also need specialists for side tasks, such as the tablecloth valet, who specifically takes care of laying the table, or the larderer, who's responsible for food preservation. Larderer? Add to that a handful of commis and you get the creme de la creme in terms of catering trades. The roasting cook just walks around and tells the other cooks how terrible they're doing. I was not aware one needed so many people in the kitchen. And yet, you also have a role to play in this big orchestra, even if it's a minor one. It's admittedly less prestigious to be the triangle player than the cellist, but you're nonetheless part of the same family. Fuck that, give me the triangle. I don't want to learn complicated instrument. Let me play the simplest instrument possible. Ding! Ding! What about you, Bertha? What exactly is your role? I serve as conductor in a way. I've been appointed as the head chef, so it's my duty to conceive menus and supervise the different cooks. That is quite an important position. Indeed, and I make a point of being worthy of it. Kiana was impressed to learn that Bertha was at the very top of the hierarchy of the king's servants. She became even more impressed when she got to admire her in action. Whereas she was laboriously trying to follow the instructions she was given to obtain perfectly cut vegetables, Bertha seemed to be accomplishing the same tasks with disconcerting ease. It made her guidance all the more precious, and the young woman felt proud to be the protege of someone so important. When lunchtime came, the valets rushed to the kitchen to take the dishes in a great ballet of plates. Kiana could not help but be afraid that they would trip over a step on the way. The procession was constant, uninterrupted. Course after course, the meals were all sent until the comm finally allowed the servants to bring the leftovers back to the common room. Participating in the common effort, the princess followed suit by carrying a pâté en croûte. Pâté en croûte. Bertha took that opportunity to get closer to her and whisper, "Oh yes, usage requires that the staff in the king's service eat the lunch leftovers according to their order of importance." What the hell is a pâté en croûte? Pâté en croûte! Meat pie. Meat pie wrapped in hot water crust pastry and served at room temperature. Pâté en croûte. I think I missed what happened to Fleur. Basically, so last week, Fleur killed us. Shoved us in the water and we drowned. But then we rewound time. This time we just passed right by her. Yeah, I was like, "Ooh, pleasant day. Pleasant day, stranger." So yeah, we just completely bypassed, Fleur this time. The royal steward and myself will be served first. Then it'll be the different cooks, and so on and so forth. Since you've just arrived as a goose herder, you'll inevitably be one of the last to be served. I see. One episode I haven't watched. Yeah, last week was kind of fucked up. Last week things got pretty fucked up because after being thrown in the water and drowned, but why? Because she found out that we were meeting with the prince. She found out that we were a princess. And we kept lying to her. So she was like, "You know what? I'm gonna take your place." It was complicated. On a fun note, after we got thrown in the water and drowned and died, we rewound time back to the that night where we made the decision about how to escape the castle. And we chose the other option. We chose, like, hey, you know what? Let's fake our death, and then Nahima will smuggle us out of the castle. And, yeah, that went poorly. We used a potion. Remember choosing the death option? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so then we took a potion to make us look dead for 3 days, and we woke up buried, and we suffocated and died again right after drowning. It was pretty terrible. Fleur is a blank. Fair enough. Anyway, until then, Kiana had been used to be served first as a princess, and she could not deny that it was unpleasant to be among people of lowly status. Bitterness took over her heart as she was watching the cooks eat. The natural order of things was not respected. It was for her that Bertha should have worked. Even so, the young woman was so hungry that she swallowed her pride. Stupid drug didn't even lead to weight loss? Can you relive the save, or is she not human? Is who not human? Fleur? Fleur's human, and Kiana's human. Kiana used the fairy to rewind time. She took comfort in telling herself that she was discovering what was going on behind the scenes of the castle life, and that this experience would certainly be useful once she would assume the throne. Incidentally, she fully intended to become Bertha's master by wedding Griselda. Consoled, she imagined a sweeter future in which all these people would be working towards fulfilling her desires, a future that was within reach. You're not wrong, George. You're not wrong, Scapegoat. Yeah. Did she do that when we were buried? Yes, both times. The fairy rewound time both times that we died. Well, Donkey Skin, you looked absent-minded during lunch. Is something wrong? It is nothing. I just need some more time to get used to your customs. That's quite normal. You've just arrived. You'll see in a few days you'll feel at home. The princess let out an arrogant smile. Indeed, in a few days she would have the occasion to speak to Lord Griselda, and soon she would be queen. Unaware of her new recruits' insolent thoughts, Bertha expanded on their afternoon agenda with enthusiasm. A life of labor, castle. She then offered to take her on a tour of the property, which Kiana gladly accepted. Oddly enough, she started with a familiar place. You've already visited the kitchens, but I'd like to remind you that the catering trade makes up the bulk of the work in the house of any self-respecting sovereign. With such a tremendous amount of dishes to handle, your help will be welcome. I taught you some of the basics today, so you're free to persevere in this field. Who knows, you could improve under my command and become an excellent cook. I am far from having your experience. That's only natural, eh? Bertha cleared her throat and took her protege outside. Side note. Elemental spirit discovered. Doesn't actually really unlock anything, though. Yeah, nothing in particular unlocked by finding that elemental spirit. But hey, found an elemental spirit. The first of 4. Anyway, Bertha cleared her throat and took her protege outside. There are many other activities that are necessary to keep the castle well run. For instance, cleaning household linen, as well as nobles' and retainers' garments, is a task that is very time-consuming. Is that Fleur praying on our grave after she drags us from the water and hides us on the farm? No. This was Fleur praying over her siblings. She is praying over her dead siblings. Her sister and her brother. The washing place is located in a corner of the courtyard. If you choose to be a laundry woman, that's where you'll have to go to rub and rinse the laundry. It's a convivial place that's very popular when it comes to chatting. You may make some friends in the process. Understood. Another sizable activity would be the castle's upkeep. The monarch likes to live in a clean palace and receive guests in good conditions. But with the sheer number of servants walking through the corridors every day, you can easily imagine that they get dirty real quick. It's a profoundly thankless job, but someone's got to volunteer to do the dusting, sweeping, and cleaning of the ground. If you do sacrifice yourself, know that the others will thank you for that. We will see if I have the courage to do so. In any case, those are the 3 major tasks you can choose to carry out in the afternoon, once you'll be done with tending to the geese. You're free to alternate between tasks to test out different things, or to focus on a single task should you want to specialize. Of course, the more you repeat a chore, the more experience you gain, and the more dexterous you'll become too. Thank you for those precisions. You're welcome. Oh, before I forget, how you spend your spare time is none of my business, but I'd like to make a few suggestions if you don't mind. It is fine with me, I am listening. If you don't know what to do, or if you're feeling isolated, walking in the hallways can prove to be surprisingly instructive. Retainers come and go all the time, so you can come across people who need help, or weird rumors. I suppose that rumors are rife in such a place. If you need to get some fresh air, you can always take care of the garden. You can come rake the alleys, pull out the weeds, and watch the animals. Prince Griselda often comes here to look after his birds of prey. Don't dare to approach them or else he would get very angry. Thank you for the warning. I will do my best not to commit a blunder. Naturally, I'm always busy in the kitchen at that time of day since I need to oversee all the meals. You don't have to, but don't hesitate to come see me. I will never refuse an extra pair of hands. I will keep that in mind. Of course, if you'd rather rest in your room, I won't judge you. This possibility is just as valid, and it's better not to overwork yourself if you're not feeling well anyway. You look like you're a bit frail, and I don't want you to get sick. Hey, Brooklyn. I will take care of myself. There is no way I am going to disappoint you. Now that's a relief. In any case, I think our tour is complete. I'm going back to the kitchen. Consider that you're off duty until further notice. The cook hastily disappeared. She was certainly expected to prepare dinner. The sun was already setting on the horizon for that matter, so the princess esteemed that it was better to be sensible and not dawdle for too long. Thus she retraced her steps to the common room. It was still too early for a large gathering, but several servants were happily talking around the fireplace. They immediately noticed her appearance and invited Kiana to join them. So, Nugo, how are you feeling? Nervous? Medieval lesbian dating simulator. I mean, there are 2 lesbian options to 1 male option. There's 1 guy who's romanceable and 2 girls, so... kinda? Oh, and hi, alien tourist. I am alright for now. I think I have learned the gist of the overall functioning, and I hope to carry out my work the best I can. Solutions! Now I understand why Bertha took you under her wing! The young Moor smiled courteously. She did not have the slightest desire to tackle domestic chores, and she would have gladly objected to doing them. However, she knew perfectly well that she was in a difficult position. She had to approach the prince without arousing suspicion. Furthermore, her tragic adventure with the Anselm family had taught her that the slightest mistake could potentially be lethal. She had to be very careful. This is why she was imitating Fleur's seriousness and adding her own touch of amiability in order to appear convincing. But, obviously, this was something she had to keep to herself. In front of the chambermaids, Kiana preferred to retain the mask of a model student and not make waves. Canadian citizen? Ooh, good luck, alien tourist. I never had to take a test for that. I don't know how I would do on one of those citizenship tests. Probably poorly. That's true. It already seems she likes you. Do you think so? I was under the impression that she was treating everyone the same. Oh, I didn't mean to say you were a favorite or anything like that. It wouldn't be honest. Bertha likes everyone. She can appear very strict, but she's always fair-minded. Even if she can seem a little scary with her stature or her abrupt way of speaking, she cares deeply about paying attention to all the servants in her service, and to the others too. In fact, she's kind of doing the royal steward's job in his place. For sure, she works twice as much. Then again, the royal steward is getting old. It may be unavoidable. I did not know that Bertha was this popular. Given her position as head chef, I would have imaged that retainers feared her. Oh no, we do fear the royal steward, but not Bertha. Whenever one of us is in trouble, we know that we can tell her and that she'll listen. That's really nice. I know a laundry woman who wanted to take a day off to attend the funeral of her parents, who had died in a fire. Well, the royal steward refused on the pretext that Lord Griseld was organizing a great banquet that night. The poor girl was a sobbing wreck. Fortunately, she mentioned it to Bertha, who then managed to convince the royal steward in the name of Catholic moral teachings. I can't believe the old geezer dared to say no. Not like she has to attend a funeral every day either. Yeah, that dude sounds like a douche. What can I say? He's been completely out of it for some time now. Maybe that comes with age. All this to say that you've been adopted in a flash. Be correct in return. It's a good way to thank Bertha for her trust. Kiana left the servants with a head full of questions. She still knew too little about the cook, but she seemed to be a good person. In a way, she was reminding her of Nahima and her boundless kindness. That evening, during supper, the young woman observed Bertha from a distance, and she saw her inquire about the condition of several servants. She seemed genuinely worried for each of them. Upset by so much energy spent at the service of others, the princess withdrew to her maid's room. Sitting on her bed, she was staring at the ceiling, pensive. Life was not that bad. She was as close as possible to her suitor, surrounded by people who looked friendly at first glance, and she was already complimented for her diligence. Was everything going a little too well? Was there truly no black spot? It went without saying that she was not very pleased by the loss of her status as heiress to the throne, but, really, this was only a temporary situation. Searching her mind, Kiana managed to extract the answer from her memory. What she was missing the most was... We all agree, right? She misses her friend. Nahima's presence. What the young woman was truly missing at that moment was the presence of her friend. The mad pace of the farm life hardly allowed daydreaming, but she had still thought about her faithful accomplice many times during her stay with the Anselm family. It was nothing, really. I wonder what Nahima would say upon seeing that. What would Nahima do in this situation? Or, if only Nahima could feel what I feel. Hey, Matthew. It was nothing, really. Just recurring thoughts that were floating around her like so many reminders of their separation. And now that she was immersed in a new environment, the princess was all the more eager to see a familiar face again, to share her impressions. That is when a realization imposed itself on her, casting a shadow over her mood. As long as she was going back in time, Kiana could never tell her friend about her incredible adventures. Since time had passed only for her, what she had lived no longer existed. And if she failed again, what she was currently living would also fade. It was vital that her exile end soon. What I have for supper? I actually had a microwave dinner for supper. I think I was like 5 minutes late for the to get anything at the hot meal counter at the grocery store. Like I usually get like some fried chicken or chicken wings or something like that and some potato wedges. But by the time I got to the counter, they had barely anything left. I hope I will manage to speak to Prince Griseld quickly. The princess sighed. Upon consideration, she was only in this situation because she cared too much about Nahima. She had refused to sacrifice her memories to obtain the fairy's powers, and had found herself circumventing the inevitable consequence by going back in time. But she could not help it. Kiana could not envisage forsaking the one person who was dear to her. She needed Nahima in her life, even if they were momentarily separated. Banana wedges? Potato wedges. Did I say banana wedges? I meant potato wedges. Changing position, the young woman slumped on the side, turning her back to the door, her cheek pressed against her hand in a melancholic posture. I wonder what she is doing right now. Same kind of menial labor that you do, that you're gonna have to do. Aching from her first day at the castle, Kiana did not take long to fall asleep, her head filled with the experiences she had felt, and excited by the prospect of living new ones. Doesn't the cantor know by now you need more time? That's my little dance for this song. For that point onward, she settled into a new daily life. Every morning, Bertha would knock on her door to wake her up. And since she had noticed the lethargic tendency of her protégé, she did not hesitate to wait a few minutes before barging into the little attic room. Kiana was always the last one out of bed, and she usually had breakfast in a rush before rushing towards the courtyard. Thanks to the lessons she had learned at the farm, she managed to lead her geese outside the city's walls without much difficulty. The dungeon was not the most appropriate place for the poultry to go frisking. This is why the young woman always took the same little path to lead her gaggle in the pastures surrounding the city. This activity proved to be rather relaxing, and allowed her to let her thoughts drift. That day, for example, the princess felt her mind once again focusing on Fleur. I would have probably never been able to keep this job at the castle without her. After all, not so long ago I did not know how to do any manual task. Yes, Kiana felt indebted for the time she had spent by Fleur's side, which had taught her so much. In a way, she could perceive a positive evolution in her story. Being exiled to the country had taught her the basics of common people's life, basics she was now using to come closer to her happy ending in the arms of the prince. Her ill-advised decision to feign her own death ultimately appeared as a rash moment, a wrong turn that did not have a place in the well-oiled tale she had imagined. At the same time, she still did not know what to make of Fleur's betrayal, of her drowning. It was both a crucial element to her story and an aberration. Yes, Kiana was still affected by this betrayal. She was fixating on it like a question that would eternally remain unanswered. Yet life had gone on again, and she had to move on one way or another. Once the gaggle had been brought back inside the castle and she had gobbled her noon snack, the princess set off in order to carry out the task she had committed to do the night before, during the servants' gathering. Indeed, she had chosen laundry, kitchen, halls. I'm guessing that these all affect... Seems like these affect your relationship with certain characters. So it looks like doing this one is going to be related to Nahima. Doing this one is related to the fairy. And this one is related to Griselda. So let's do the laundry. Kitchen. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing the kitchen. It's just this... Halls. I mean, like, you see on the side there. Like, you can see that, like, you got the silhouette. So, like, over here... So, like, over here, that is clearly the fairy silhouette. Over here, that is clearly Nahima's silhouette. And that is the prince's silhouette. So the halls are right out, because who cares about the prince? The prince seems like a douche. The prince just seems like a douche, honestly. We're all about Nahima here. The heiress had decided to take care of the laundry. She had heard that it was a highly social chore, and she had hoped that contributing would help her bond with the other laundry women. To Kiana, it was a token of goodwill, her way to show Bertha that she had been right to employ her. Furthermore, considering what had happened with Fleur, it could not hurt her to speak with servants more often. I thought we liked the gay prince. I don't know, I just get bad vibes from the dude. Nahim had always reproached her for having a rather withdrawn nature. Consequently, it was the perfect opportunity to prove to her that she was capable of being more assertive. At least, that was what she was thinking as she was following the other laundry women. The group was supposed to retrieve the linen from the kitchens and the nobles' bedrooms with very heavy baskets, then bring them to the courtyard. Hey, meat sweats! I have not tried the jacuzzi. Yet, the trip was not even done that Kiana had already noticed mocking smiles and suspicious whispers. Check out the new girl's look. Who would wear the fur of a donkey as clothes? Hang me if those rags don't hide some infirmity. That must be true. Or it's just that her skin is entirely covered with filth. That would explain why it's so dark. I mean, have you looked at who you're talking to? Like, fucking racist white bitch just making a black joke to her black friend. Be funny if she was like, hey, she's not much darker than I am. It's like, bitch, she and I are the same fucking shade. Fuck you, lady. Fuck you, bitch. It's just... like, literally, these two are the same goddamn shade. This lady and this lady are the same shade, and this lady's like... her skin's dark because she's filthy. Yeah, her friend here is probably like... bitch, shut your mouth before I shut it for you. The young woman sighed while lowering her eyes. Even though anger was consuming her from the inside, it would have been quite reckless of her to retaliate. She was not keen to take part in a conflict, and was hoping that the small group would eventually get tired of it. But, unfortunately, they did not stop. When all the laundry women gathered in the courtyard, were vigorously rubbing the fabric with ash to clean it, she heard the same servant slandering her again behind her back. Do you think that she's the daughter of a tanner to reek like that? That would explain her garb. Only a tanner could stand such a stench. There's a reason why they're usually pushed back outside the city's walls. We should have pushed her back too. What was Bertha thinking when she hired such a disgusting thing at the castle? The two laundry women kept gossiping throughout the whole afternoon, and Kiana had to endure this jeering in silence. Yet she tried her best cleaning her laundry without letting herself be, destabilized. The proximity made that task all the more difficult, because she could not stop herself from hearing them, and be dismayed by those repeated attacks. In spite of everything, the princess focused on her labor, and analyzed the actions of other retainers out of the corner of her eye to ensure that she was working properly. There was no way she would give satisfaction to the ones criticizing her, and she fully intended to prove that she would not let them have any hold over her, that she knew how to handle things. Her diligence did not elude the person sitting next to her, a young washerwoman of her age, who had a blonde braid and soft eyes. As Kiana was finishing wringing out her sheets, the two gossipers began to discredit her once again. With such a look, her laundry is unlikely to be very clean. I bet it's going to have the same repulsive smell as her rags. Who would want to marry such a terrible housewife? While the two accomplices were giggling, each one more so than the other, the retainer standing next to the princess suddenly turned around to intervene. Because y'all so much... Because you're both so much better than her, is that it? Donkey Skin is already done with her baskets. The same cannot be said of everyone. As they were too busy snickering, the two laundry women had indeed fallen behind. The scathing retort made them turn... Just to get their expressions here. I just like her expression here. The scathing retort made them turn as red as a beetroot. They did not appreciate to be criticized on what was their pride and joy. This is not comparable. We have more laundry than her, so it's normal for us to take longer. And at least we don't do a rushed work. Oh yeah? Yet, when taking a closer look, you can see stains on your tablecloth. Now, if this isn't a rushed work, I don't know what it is. Are you looking for trouble? That's right, what's your problem? I'm simply pointing out that Donkey Skin's laundry is cleaner than yours for now. Reprimanding her is all fine and well, provided that you can do better. The two servants fell silent, ashamed. Woo! Suck it, bitches! Relieved to be temporarily freed of their derogatory remarks, Kiana rewarded her benefactress with a grateful smile. And, since she had finished, she grabbed her baskets and walked away. But no sooner had she taken a few steps than she heard the young washerwoman call her. Donkey Skin, wait! Yes? I just wanted to tell you that you're doing a pretty good job for your first time. Keep it up, and pay no mind to their comments. Thank you. The princess walked down the corridors with a lighter heart. Her comrades' congratulations had lifted her spirits, and she appreciated them all the more so that the young woman had spoken out loud in front of all of the other laundry women. Today had not been an easy day, but at least she was not completely alone. Comforted, Kiana headed for the common room. The sun had set, plunging the castle into a golden brown light. The princess had not noticed how quickly time had passed, as she was too focused on her task. Thus she had hardly thought about how she was going to use the hour she had left before dinner. The castle is vast. She could very well take a walk, get some fresh air, or rest. To suit her whims and fancies, Kiana decided to go. Doesn't look like any of this stuff makes too much of a difference. So we've got hallway for, I think, rumors, I think. Kitchen, if we want to help out, what's her name? Common room, if we want to just have a chat. Courtyard, if we want to manage the garden, I think. So what are we thinking? Kitchen, hallway, courtyard, or common room? Anyone have any preferences? Seems like no one has any preferences. Not entirely sure I have any preferences either, honestly. Play on the internet. Courtyard. Oh, and hi, Layla. That is a more general question. Yeah, I suppose we can do the courtyard. The young woman thought she had a recollection of Bertha mentioning that Prince Griseld would often come to the castle's courtyard to take care of his birds of prey. Since the beginning of her stay, she had yet to see him, and felt greatly frustrated. She imperatively had to correct this unfortunate mistake as soon as possible. Her eagerness to see her paramour again made her febrile, and she hastened to the garden, praying with all her heart that he would grace her with his presence. Naturally, she could not simply stand still and wait. She needed a good excuse, a camouflage. For that reason, Kiana began to pull out the weeds and rake the alleys. Her efforts did not take long to pay off. Griselda himself appeared after a few minutes, accompanied by some of his squires. The heiress internally complained. She had hoped to talk to him. As she did not dare to come closer because of the nobles who would not let her lover out of their sight, she limited herself to observing him from a distance. The birds chirped when the young man approached the cages. He opened one from which he took out a majestic hawk and requested that it would land on his leather glove. The animal complied with a nimble and graceful leap. "Such docility, my lord!" "Is it not? And yet I have only caught it for a couple of days. No bird can resist me." The prince put the hawk on a shrub, took a few steps back, and stretched his hand. A squire speedily brought him some pieces of raw meat, a feed destined for birds, which he presented to the animal. Moments after, the hawk stretched his wings and swooped on his target with lightning speed. The prince rewarded it with a few beakfuls of food, and Kiana could only admire the dexterity he had displayed. The exercise was repeated several times with increasing distance. Mesmerized by this spectacle, she would have almost forgotten her task. It has to be said that falconry was a noble's pastime par excellence, and Griselda seemed to have perfectly mastered this field, which was only increasing his prestige. He seemed so strong, so bold, so good-looking. Seduced, the young woman sighed with melancholy. "Let him notice me, so that I can tell him." Alas, once he had finished looking after his birds, the prince walked away, his escort after him. Worse still, he did not even look at her. Why would she? She's just a servant. She felt greatly bitter. Her pride as a princess had been wounded by the cruel indifference he was showing her, and she swore to make him change his mind. "You boor, I will oblige you to look at me." And this is a good time to end. Good spot to end the episode. So, good odds I will probably not be on tomorrow, because I do like to sleep in, but I'll try to come on at some point in the week. So, You'll miss me? Aw. Well, thanks. I'll miss you too. But that's it for tonight. So thanks for coming. And good night, everyone.